This is a Wicked Wolf Poker production.
What's up, Wicked Wolf Poker family? Welcome back to another session on Clubs Poker at the 25-50 no-limit hold'em tables. Today, we wake up under the gun with the monster of all monsters, pocket aces, the ace of hearts and ace of spades. Let's dive right into the action and see how this hand played out. We start off by raising to $1.50, a standard 3x open from under the gun. The button flat calls, and the small blind also comes along. From a GTO perspective, flatting out of the small blind against a 3x UTG open is generally a leak. Raise or fold is preferred, because you play the rest of the hand out of position, multi-way, but at micro and low stakes tables, people love seeing flops. The flop comes queen of spades, 5 of clubs, and 4 of spades. This is a dynamic flop with 2 spades and connected lower cards. Holding the ace of spades in our hand is key here because it blocks top-tier flush draw combinations like ace-king or ace-jack of spades. The small blind checks to us, and we fire a continuation bet about half pot, which will most likely fold out most lower pairs. But queen X and spade flush draws will most likely stick around. Maybe even jack-jack or 10-10 might continue. The button folds, but the small blind calls. The turn brings the king of hearts. The small blind checks, and we decide to check behind. Now, let's analyze this turn line strategically from a range versus range perspective. The king of hearts is a strong card for our UTG razor range, which contains all the king-king, ace-king, king-queen, and ace-ace. On the other hand, the small blind's pre-flop flatting range is heavily capped and rarely contains king-king or ace-king. While checking turn protects our checkback range and keeps us from overinflating the pot if villain happened to flop a set or turn 2 pair, betting around 50% to 60% of the pot is often the preferred GTO line. A double barrel allows us to charge turned kings, like king-jack or king-10 of spades, strong queens, and remaining spade flush draws before a river card comes. The river comes the 6 of hearts, missing all spade flush draws, but does complete a possible straight, although 2 pair would be more likely with something like 5-6 suited. We would still bet for value if checked to. But instead, the small blind leads out for a small block bet of $3.25 into the $10 pot. Because we check the turn, our line looks like a medium-strength queen or pocket pair taking a free card. When the small blind leads small on a brick river, our call with pocket aces is completely standard, and I don't necessarily want to reopen the betting. Aces is still just a pair. Villain reveals king of spades, 10 of spades. They turned top pair with the flush draw and led the river for thin value. Our pocket aces hold up, and we scoop the $16 pot. A solid win for the bankroll. Smash that like button, subscribe to Wicked Wolf Poker, and leave a comment below on how you would have played this turn. Welcome back to hand number 2 of the session. We are under the gun once again on Clubs Poker 25-cent, 50-cent, and lightning strikes twice. We pick up cowboys, the king of hearts and king of diamonds. Let's see how we navigate a dynamic monotone flop with pocket kings. We open under the gun to our standard $1.50, 3x BB. It folds around to the low jack, who flat calls, and everyone else gets out of the way. We head to the flop heads up in a single raised pot. The flop comes 7 of diamonds, 9 of diamonds, 3 of diamonds, a fully monotone board. Monotone flops require careful navigation, but holding the king of diamonds in our hand is massive. It gives us an overpair plus the second nut flush draw, while blocking top diamond flush combinations like king-queen or king-jack of diamonds. We fire a half-pot continuation bet of $1.88 into the $3.75 pot. This sizing targets villain's range of 9x hands, lower pairs with a diamond, and straight draws for value, while protecting our equity. The low jack calls. The turn is the 9 of spades, pairing the board to 7 of diamonds, 9 of diamonds, 3 of diamonds, and 9 of spades. With the board pairing, flush draws and straight draws are less likely to improve, and the number of 9x combinations in villain's range is reduced. We decide to check turn, and the low jack checks behind. Checking turn here is a very clean pot control line. It keeps villain's floating range wide, avoids overbuilding the pot if villain turned a boat or flopped a set, and protects our checking range on paired boards. The river brings a complete brick, the 4 of spades. Because we check the turn, our line looks like a medium-strength hand or missed draw taking a free card. We seize the initiative and fire a strong value bet of 75% pot. Busted flush draws are folding here, so this sizing is specifically designed to extract maximum value from medium to strong pocket pairs that can't fold to a river bet. The low jack calls and reveals jack of diamonds, jack of hearts. Now at showdown, seeing pocket jacks is really interesting. From a GTO standpoint, flatting jack-jack preflop in the low jack against an UTG open is a passive play. Jack-jack is usually a high-frequency 3-bet for value and protection. But flatting allowed them to see a flop, and our river value bet got full value. Our pocket kings hold up, and we take down an $1877 pot. Another clean victory for Wicked Wolf on Clubs Poker. Great value bet on the river to get paid off by pocket jacks. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and leave a comment below. What's up, Wicked Wolf Pack? We are back with hand number 3 of the session, and we wake up in the big blind on Clubs Poker's 25-cent, 50-cent no-limit hold'em with Cowboys, the King of Hearts and King of Spades. Let's get right into the action and see how this one plays out. The action starts with middle position opening to $1, and the button flat calls. The small blind seat is empty, and sitting in the big blind with pocket kings, we fire out a squeeze 3-bet to $4.20. That's 3x the open plus an extra dollar for the button's dead money and a little extra for being out of position. MP calls our 3-bet, and the button folds. We head to the flop heads up. The flop comes 9 of diamonds, 5 of diamonds, 3 of hearts, a draw-heavy board with 2 diamonds. We lead out for a continuation bet of $6. Against an aggressive opponent, this sizing builds the pot immediately and targets diamond flush draws, top pair hands, and medium pocket pairs. Suddenly, MP raises to $22.05. From a decision time GTO perspective, when an aggressive opponent raises a 3-better on a 9-high draw-heavy board, their range is polarized. Strong flush draws, overpairs, or sets, mixed in with some bluffs that probably have some equity. Holding pocket kings, we are never folding here against this opponent. If he bets large on the turn, the plan is to get it in for stacks. We call the raise and head to the turn. The turn brings the jack of clubs. We check to the aggressor, and villain leads for $40. Since calling would commit over 2/3 of our remaining stack, and we are never folding this hand, we jam all in for the rest of our stack. Villain, who covers us with a larger stack, calls almost immediately. Villain turns over 10 of hearts, 10 of clubs, pocket tens. Now at showdown, seeing pocket tens explains Villain's aggressive line. Villain flapped an overpair to the 9-5-3 board and raised flop to protect their hand, then double-barreled turn. However, overplaying pocket tens against a big blind 3-better's range is a major GTO mistake. Our 3-betting range is packed with ace-ace, king-king, queen-queen, and jack-jack that crush 10-10. The river runs out clean with the 6 of spades, and our pocket kings hold up to take down a pot of over $200.
A solid win for Wicked Wolf on Clubs Poker's small stakes, taking down a great pot with pocket kings. If you enjoyed this analysis, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below on how you would have played this turn.
Welcome to the final hand of today's session on Clubs Poker. We are sitting on the button with Ace of Spades and Queen of Diamonds. Let's dive into the hand and see how we navigate a high-variance bluffing spot. Pre-flop, a new player at the table sitting under the gun posts a dead big blind of 50 cents. It folds all the way around to us on the button, holding Ace-Queen offsuit. We raise it up to $2.25 to isolate the dead money and take control of the pot. The blinds fold, and the UTG player calls $1.75 more. We head to the flop heads up. The flop comes 4 of hearts, 2 of spades, 6 of spades. A low, connected board featuring 2 spades. The villain checks to us. Now, this flop doesn't hit our button raising range particularly well, so we decide to check behind. However, analyzing this from a strategic perspective, holding the ace of spades in our hand gives us the nut flush blocker. If we actually held a flopped nut spade flush draw, we would frequently fire a small continuation bet here. Checking back here breaks line consistency, which makes it harder to represent a flushed hand later when the 3rd spade hits the board. The turn drops the 9 of spades, completing the potential spade flush on the board. The villain checks for a second time. Sitting with the ace of spades blocker, we decide it's time to leverage our card removal and represent the completed flush. We fire out a 3/4 pot bet of $3.50. The villain thinks for a moment and calls. The river comes, the 10 of diamonds. Villain checks a 3rd time. To sell the flush story, we have to follow through with our bluff line. We fire another strong 3/4 pot barrel of $8.80. Unbelievably, the villain snaps us off almost instantly. At showdown, villain reveals Jack of diamonds, 9 of diamonds, turning a pair of 9s. Looking at villain's call, calling a 3/4 pot river barrel on a 3-spade board with just middle pair of 9s is a very loose hero call. However, because we checked the flop, our line lacked credibility. When we bet turn and river, villain suspected a missed high card hand or a bluff with a single spade blocker. Villain's snap call takes down a pot of over $30. It's a tough loss to end the session, but evaluating these blocker bluffs is key for long-term improvement.
That wraps up an exciting session for Wicked Wolf on Clubs Poker. Even when bluffs don't get through, sticking to solid GTO principles keeps us winning over the long run. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to Wicked Wolf Poker, and leave a comment below on how you would have played this ace of spades.